Hello everybody and welcome to another one of my cooking videos. Today I am going to be making my version of chili. Now there are thousands of different chili recipes, but this one by far is my favorite. So to get started, a little bit of butter, half a stick, and some oil, and one, and then just cooking oil and the other. This is going to be for the meat. This is going to be for the vegetables. And for the meat, for this size, I'm using a whole pot, so it's going to be between 3 and 4 pounds of ground chuck. I prefer to use 80-20. You can use a higher meat to fat ratio, but just keep in mind the higher the ratio, the tougher the meat will be. So, for the vegetables, I got a nice little display here. I like to use one yellow bell pepper, one red bell pepper, and one orange bell pepper. And they're all the same pepper, just different stages of its ripeness. And each one has their own unique flavor. One large chopped onion, uh, between 4 and 6 jalapenos. It's up to you if you want to leave the seeds in or not, depending on how hot you want it. And about 7 or 8 Serrano peppers. Right here, this is optional, but I like to have a little bit of smokiness in my chili. So you can either use like a can of Chipotle, or like in this case, I have some really good Chipotle sauce, which this is my favorite brand right here. And it's a lot more cost effective to buy it in a large container like this than the individual bottles. You can get a lot more bang for your buck. And then right here, these are the spices I'm going to be using in the chili. It's about 4 tablespoons of a chili blend, as well as a little over a tablespoon of salt. The black is lava salt. It's just salt with activated charcoal in it to help in digestion. And then I got some Carolina Reaper powder. And then I have some smoked paprika, because again, I like that smokiness. And then over here, this is the tomato sauce. I got about 1 large can of crushed tomatoes, and then 1 regular sized can of fire roasted diced tomatoes, and then a little over a tablespoon of undiluted tomato paste. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to set the pan that I'm going to be cooking the meat in to about medium high. And then over here for the vegetables, I'm going to be setting also to about medium high. I'm going to be turning it down though once it starts to turn translucent. But for now, I'll set it to about medium high. So give these a minute to heat up. Okay, at this point, go ahead and add your meat. It's up to you how you want to season your meat. For me, I just like to use salt, pepper, and garlic powder. Make sure you don't want to break it up too much at first. Let it brown on the bottom. That way it stays together and you don't end up with taco meat. So you kind of want it to hold together. And try not to play around with it too much, because if you do, it toughens the meat up. And then over here in the chili pot, go ahead and add your vegetables. And doesn't that look good? Get that butter and oil mixed up well in them. cover this. Help speed up the heating process. Okay, after a while, your onion should be semi-translucent. You want to go ahead and turn it down to medium-low and add your tomatoes. Go ahead and give it a stir. Now you go ahead and let this cook uncovered so that it helps reduce some of that excess liquid in there, because you don't want your chili running. I went ahead and I broke up the beef here. All I'm doing now is just cooking off all that water that's in there. Okay, once you start seeing the meat getting a bit of a crust on it, it's ready for the next step, which is going to be draining it. And we're going to put it back in the pan. I'm going to take it over here, get a strainer, and I'm going to pour the grease into a container. You don't want to pour fat right down the drain. That's a big no-no. Okay, once it's drained the fat, take your optional chipotle sauce or your canned chipotle and just pour it right in there with the meat. Give it a good stir. Oh, that smells good. And you just want to be on here just long enough for it to cook it into the meat before we transfer it over into the pot. That way it doesn't just bleed out of the meat and straight into the chili. Alright, now comes the fun part. We're going to add the meat to the chili pot. Give it a good mix. Look at that. Isn't that the most colorful chili you've ever seen? Okay, now the second to the last step here. All we got to do, add in our spices. Stir it in real good. Now here's another optional step that I forgot to mention. Add 1 bottle of your favorite port, your IPA or your beer, whatever you like. I like this one because it has a lot of different notes in it. Adds a good amount of flavor to it. If you do choose to add beer to it, all you have to do is leave it covered for a little bit so that all that liquid will evaporate as well as the alcohol. I'll give it about 5 minutes uncovered. Okay, now the final step, and the longest. Go ahead and set the temperature down to low. Cover it, and leave it alone for an hour. Some people like to do it for 2 or even 3 hours, but the longer you cook it, the more mushy the peppers are going to get. So if you like your peppers mushy, cook them longer. If you like them more crisp, then cook it a little sooner. But for me, the magic number is 1 hour. So I'll see you back in an hour. Okay, about an hour has passed. Give this a good stir. And the chili is done. And then I just like to take some crackers and put it around there. There you go. I hope you enjoyed the video. Bon appétit.